Call the meeting to order and ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Most of us are here right now. John Hennessy is absent. I can't recall if he was scheduled to be out of town or not, but I'll follow up on that. You should have the agenda before you. Is there any questions on it or any additions or subtractions? Under discussion items, I'd like to add about paving update, just so that way if there is any updates, we can talk about that.
Second.
All right, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, everyone in favor of the agenda as presented then?
So move.
All right. Call the question about the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So the first item that we have on here, we have discussion items. We have 4 of them. First is e-bike safety, and so I'll turn it over to Alan, who's been leading our efforts at researching safety for e-bikes and e-scooters, and he can say what's been going on.
Thank you, Brian. BPAC has been investigating the. It's funny, I just told everybody to turn their phone off. BPAC has been investigating the use of what I'm going to term as electrical vehicles, only because I don't want to call them electric bikes or electric scooters. There's quite a few that fall under that umbrella, but that's what we'll be referring to, not motor vehicles on the roadway. We started to examine the information and regulation of these electric vehicles. And first thing we found is that we're kind of behind the curve on this. These have exploded on the trails and roadways, and we're learning through other venues on knowledge and classification, description, regulation, enforcement. It's quite a big pie, actually. But what we're trying to focus on is safety and the standards that we hope to use to keep everybody safe. Furthermore, we'll support that by training to make everybody safer. There is a lot to do in this puzzle that we have now. We've been in contact with other police departments, with other venues such as Plymouth and Birmingham, who are ahead of the curve on this. They've been dealing with this surge of electrical vehicles for upwards of 2 years, some a little bit more, some a little bit less. And what we're focusing on now is information collected. We did contact the Michigan League of Bicyclists. They're a fantastic organization. They're very, very knowledgeable. And I was advised by them that they are currently working with the State Department of Natural Resources to do the same thing we're doing, to look at the big picture and decide where they're going with this and how they will regulate and enforce their bike paths, their trails, their campgrounds, a lot of the property that they oversee. And they should be implementing it sometime next year. They hope to do it before the season starts. There's a lot of legislature that's being considered for these bikes. They want to take all that in consideration, so it takes time. This isn't something we can do overnight. We hope to be able to provide training and reference for just about everybody. We'd like to train parents and users, and sometimes the parents are the users. So we want to educate everybody so they're safe. They know what rules to follow. It's very complex at times. You may have to follow one rule on the roadway, and you have a second set of rules on a bike path or a trail. You might be affected by your age, the use of safety equipment, how fast you can go on an electric vehicle, it'll change from a roadway to a trail. So you really have to do your due diligence before you get on one of these electric vehicles and operate it safely and legally, and using common courtesy to other people using bike paths, the pedestrians, the bicyclists, other EV users. And so we're looking at all this. And again, we're an advisory commission, so we will turn this over to the township and help them to decide how they want to regulate it and enforce it. And we hope that this goes smoothly and we can start advocating some training classes. We can use social media, we can use technology, we can do an in-person class if that's preferred, and start giving classes and educating the users. And that's kind of what I've been focusing on. Like I say, if we get more information back, we'll start to post some of it so you can use it as a reference. We've had great luck with other municipalities who have given us good information, and we might be a round peg and they're a square peg, but we still get a lot of information from them. We take some or take all of their information and develop our own plan. I would suspect that this will take us through probably springtime to complete. It's I was mentioning earlier that it's a rabbit hole you go down and you don't realize how big it is until you go down it. I think this is very important in our community. This has surged in our community, and it seems that everybody is aware of it and concerned about it. And I think it's very important that we get the community input on what their views are and their thoughts are on this over the next maybe 6 or 7 months. Feel free to get involved, to contact us, to attend our meetings, and give us your input, because this is going to be very important as this grows and becomes a bigger concern than it is now. I can touch on safety and training, and that's what I want to focus on. And we'll let our leadership decide how they want to handle their end of it. And we hope that in the end, we just keep kids and users safe. That's my biggest concern. Brian, you had some thoughts on this also?
I do, but before moving forward on that, you talked about community input, about
Yes.
contacting us and attend the meetings.
Yes.
So I wanted to know if you're asking about just attending the BPAC meeting here, or I know that you're leading a subcommittee, so if there are people interested.
Turn your microphone on.
Thank you for that. Hopefully everybody heard me, but if not, I was just saying, how does people contact us regarding this e-bike stuff? Is it through this venue of our full committee meeting over here, or is it part of a subcommittee? And if so, how are people to get a part of the subcommittee?
People contact the township through all kinds of means, right? They contact an elected representative, contact somebody on a commission, walk up here, talk to Derek. So if we wanted to do an actual e-bike community input drive, I guess we could. My recommendation with this is, you don't design and build a car in one department. You don't put together software in one department, and we're just one department. I would say select someone from BPAC. This commission gives them a mandate, and they work with the police commission and probably the township manager or community development director to come up with a comprehensive plan that is, also enforceable.
Mm-hmm.
Can I also suggest that we come up with a plan for the plan, which is what is the time frame in which we want all of these things to happen, and what are the milestones of that time frame? So I think we're asking for input from the community, but I think we also need to give the community something to respond to. But I think if we can just outline, what are the milestones, what is the time frame, when do we want to get this in front of the board to make a decision. I think it would be helpful if we did more of a outline that was a little bit more specific in what our approach is going to be.
I agree that we have to have a structured study here, and it's It's difficult at this point because we're still collecting information. It's hard to put everything together and say, this is the plan, because I don't want to misdirect us and then have to change directions because we didn't collect all of our information. And it's sluggish because you play phone tag and you chase people in government, and, they get back to you and they're going to do something and then get back to you afterwards, and it takes time. I thought that I could do this in a faster fashion, but
I think
it's a slow, methodical turtle's pace on this, and I wish I could go faster and be more specific, but once we get our information and we can conclusively say this is what this is and this is what that is, then we can put it together and present it. That's why it has not been presented in any fashion yet, because our legal terms, our classifications of electric vehicles, that's pretty easy to do, but where do you go with it after that? We don't know what the state wants to do through the DNR. We don't know what our township wants out of this. I'm speculating at best to say safety is my standard. So,
I think the township has tools for this, right? We're just making a recommendation on how to create an ordinance. So we need to appoint somebody, have them work with police, right? Generate, a timeline. And then, maybe it's a police liaison or the chief of police, or like I said, the downtown development or the community development director. Have that group work on it, and they can work aggressively, right? It doesn't have to take a year. And then we have we have retained legal counsel. So we send it over to legal counsel and this is what we want. They craft it into a suitable ordinance that police agrees is enforceable, that BPAC agrees is, going to create the metrics that the community wants. But the community's already told us what they want, right? We've gotten the community feedback. They're sick of the e-bikes. They want them off the trail. That is what the community's telling us.
We've heard from select people within the community. There's some people that are louder than others, and that doesn't mean that specifically that's what the community wants. There's plenty of people in the community using the e-bikes. So I think that to say that everybody wants them off the trails and wants them gone would be, wouldn't be prudent. It wouldn't be actually true, because there's people using them right now.
Sure. There's
so I just
people
wanted
using
to, if I can, comment a little bit more real quick.
This, right? There's already laws for this. You can't go more than 20 miles per hour 15 miles per hour on a trail that's 6 feet wide or something. The state has laws about this. It's just, we have to come up with a way that's going to meet community needs and be enforceable.
I think we need to look at things comprehensively. So I know Alan has told me about how he wants to focus in on education, doesn't want to work on enforcement. You're saying about policy and enforcement. I think both of those are important, but it's part of a multi-pronged approach to looking at this.
If
there's
PPAC
something called
doesn't make a recommendation soon, the police commission is going to. They are receiving a lot of pressure to address this. So I think that's why we need to join the conversation and get some kind of subcommittee established so that we're making progress. Because sitting up here and talking about it doesn't really get us anywhere, because we're not doing any work at this dais, right? We're just discussing it. So we need to create a mechanism for people to actually do work.
Duly noted. I was not suggesting otherwise. I'm just trying to say that to just put our blinders on and focus in on one specific thing might do an injustice. So, looking at it from a safe streets approach, where you're looking at it through different lenses. So, you've got your road users, you've got land use. So what the actual trails look like, what they can support. You've got the types of vehicles. So maybe there's certain type of e-bikes that are okay and other ones that are not. And there's other micro mobility devices like Alan was talking about. So it's not just specifically e-bikes. It might not be draconian where it's like, hey, anything with a motor is not allowed. There might be some nuance.
And I'm not
with
suggesting that. I'm saying there needs to be something, right?
Yeah.
right.
And it's like, if we're going to say, hey, let's get them off the trails, what are we going to do for them on the roads? Because again, they're, they're potentially legal rights, and we don't own the roads. Wayne County owns the roads. So unless they say differently, they could be out there. But we could look at ways to make things safe, because no matter who you are, what you're driving, or how you're getting somewhere, you're a person, and we need to try and make it safe for everybody. So that's what I was just getting at, is let's not go put on blinders and look just at education or just at enforcement, but let's do this collaboratively. And I totally agree. Yeah, let's not do this as a BPAC, but like we can be a conduit, working with the police and like working with others. And I think what we bring to the table is that majority of us are probably all people that walk and bike, and so we bring that mindset to crafting potential policy or doing education and things, and we live here. So where I was going to begin with was just saying, okay, well, how do people get involved? And one way is like having a community forum, but there's also the research that needs to happen beforehand. And so that's what Alan has been talking about. So if there was somebody that was interested in helping out with research and saying, hey, this is what this community did, this is what this community did, they could be a part of that. And as Nicole had said, like having a specific timeline, if there is a specific date, if the police department is saying, hey, you have until December 1st to come up with something, well, we start with that date and work backwards to figure out what we need to do. If we have more time, well, then we adjust and figure out what we can do within there. But I'm hoping that there's a research phase, and then there's our recommendations that, again, like working with other departments and like trying to get something done. So thank you. I'm sorry I got on a soapbox over here.
So Alan is the BPAC representative on this subcommittee, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Me and my staff.
Okay.
I
So
will
then,
say
Alan,
that
will you reach out to the police? Do you know anybody on police commission that you can call?
I do not, but I do know
No Margaret
I worked
Shelton?
with the township supervisor and I worked with the township police chief.
Okay.
So I have a working relationship with them, and they're
Yeah,
good
if
people.
you could initiate those, like that, start that conversation.
I will say that I feel that there's a need to fast track this, and we have to treat it just under those terms, fast track this. I would be open to having an open meeting every 2 weeks to fast track this, because it gives us time between meetings to get results, to get what we need from each meeting.
What do you mean
And
by an open meeting every 2 weeks?
Let's say we meet,
You're saying the BPAC.
I would like to design a meeting where anybody can attend that's involved in this. And we meet at a given time, twice a month, and the police department can be involved, the township, BPAC, maybe I can get my representative from Michigan League of Bicyclists, who will give us incredible insight how other communities are doing this. We start to get a big picture of the whole elephant we're trying to eat here.
Yeah.
And then we attack each individual problem. But we have to be specific for our community. We're not Birmingham. We're not Plymouth. We are very unique. That's why I mentioned the round peg in the square hole. It fits, but the square peg won't fit in our round hole. So let's
Can there be
Right.
or would you be open to the next meeting being able to bring kind of an outline of a plan and a timeline, and then love the idea of the inclusion of the community, but just maybe think through how would that work, when would that work,
Right.
What is the cadence of those meetings?
I would think that if we have our first meeting, that's what we'll establish.
Yeah, but bringing it back like to BPAC to maybe
Right. And then-
report out, and then every meeting
Absolutely
reporting out on
report to the community what's going on.
So I would actually recommend that you create a timeline then, because if you just say, hey, everybody come in and let's talk, right? You're really not going to get anything done. You're just going to talk. So if you have a timeline ahead of time with purpose of each meeting, that would help out a lot, right? Hey, this first meeting, we're going to discuss the problem, right? The next meeting, we're going to discuss other community
Research.
solutions, right?
Yeah,
And then
right.
resources and so on and so forth. So if you target it that way, and you're like, hey, there's 4 community meetings and 4 working group meetings over this,
Right.
3-month period.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and I believe that there's so much information involved here, we have to literally take a meeting to explain, this is what we're regulating, these are the laws, so everybody's on the same page, they understand all this, and then basically delegate duties that we need done. That the township and the police department can develop at their end, we can develop at our end, and then we come back on a second meeting and blend it together. And, it's hard to get everybody together at that one point is the problem. There's gonna be that issue. I know it from past experience.
So the composition of this group could be like 1 or 2 people from BPAC, maybe 1 from police, 1 from fire, and then maybe the township manager or community development director.
I think that would be great. There's actually just a lot to consider, guys. When you just think about the signage we need for this
Yeah.
and the regulation of things we don't even have funding for. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot more to this than you
Well,
think.
I think that we need to make sure that we're not exceeding, we don't need to come up with the signs right now, right? We just need to make a recommendation to the township so that they can pass an ordinance, right? So,
Right.
If BPAC can't afford the signs and there's an ordinance, I'm confident DPS is going to come up with signs, right? Like,
Well,
they may not be signs we like, but
Part
they're
of
gonna be signs,
enforcement is
know?
that you have to have proper signage.
Right.
I mean, it's silly and it's expensive, but,
I do
that's
think
that's
all of
another
this,
aspect of it.
Should be part of that plan, right?
Right,
It's the work
absolutely.
back, but it's also who's my stakeholders, who's involved in the plan,
Mm-hmm.
what are the elements that we need as part of the plan, how are they going to get done? So I think all of this encompasses, I think you're bringing up some great points, and I think all of it becomes part of that
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, and maybe that
Absolutely.
group carries on after the recommendation to come up with
Yeah.
those ideas. But as of right now, we need an ordinance.
Right.
That's what we need. That's
Well,
the one
actually,
output.
there's state law in place. I mean, you're being redundant here because if you enforce what's already out there, you don't need an ordinance.
Well, then that's our recommendation.
Well, I don't think that
You know,
fits our
so
community
it's-
though.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I'm just my mindset is that a lot of these infractions aren't because of malice. They're doing it because they don't know any better.
I don't believe that a 15-year-old kid riding an e-bike 35 miles per hour down the bike trail past older people
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know better.
Well,
Like-
Well, I think they're very
They know better.
self-unaware
Right.
at
That
times.
does happen all the time,
right?
but-
I mean,
Do
But-
they know that, if they hit that person, like the type of injury that's going to result from it? Probably not. I
Yeah.
don't think
I mean,
a
they're very
15-year-old is
self-absorbed.
thinking of that.
Not to be mean, but they're very self-absorbed at that
They
age,
are.
and so we were all at that age.
Yeah.
and we were all in
Absolutely.
that way. I do think that we probably won't get to everything here in this
Mm-hmm.
meeting, but I think what you're raising and what you're wanting to do is exactly what we should be doing. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's things that we have to approve at this meeting in order for those things to go
It's
forward.
just a discussion item.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we could say, hey, Alan and Nicole, right? You guys are the liaisons.
Representatives.
Representatives.
I'll be
or-
Alan. I'll be your second.
Good. I love your input.
Awesome.
Okay.
She's a project manager. That'll be helpful.
Definitely.
Well, no, I'm not
So-
a project manager, but I do a lot of that in my
Yeah.
job.
There's
So, yeah.
two things I ask of both of you then as you're moving forward on this. One is, to come in with goals. If, whoever is going to be a part of this, agree upon goals that you want to accomplish and don't get caught up specifically in the treatment yet. So the more that you get into saying, we need this, that, people can get caught up in that, that actual treatment and forget what we're trying to accomplish. So if you come in with the goals, you can say, well, yes, a new policy might be one of the items, but maybe we already have a policy that works. And so again, it might be back to education, or it might be about
Enforcement,
science.
education, yeah.
Right,
So just,
right.
again, focus on, what the goals are, first and foremost. And then secondly, have, short, medium, and long-term aspects to it, and a way to potentially monitor. And that way there's this feedback loop. Because as you're saying, there's a lot going on. We can't get everything done all at once, but there is urgency in, getting back to the township, especially the police department, and showing them that we're working on this, and bringing them some sort of recommendation. And then you might be able to do a couple other things in the medium term or long term. Again, like implementing a longer plan, or be going back and saying, hey, this new ordinance, it worked. We're good on that part. Or maybe there's something new that pops up that we need to talk about. So again, having that feedback loop and doing evaluation.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that 2 or 3 months ago, the township supervisor told us to work on this, not to talk about it, not to think about it, to work on it, right? So that's what I'm trying to get to, is that somebody needs to do some work, right? Not just conversations, but there needs to be like some, and I'm not saying you're not doing work, Alan. I'm just saying we're not generating output right now, and that's what we need to do.
Right,
We need to
right.
start generating.
I'm still behind the education curve on this. I can jump to conclusions, but that is an
Well, let's
injustice.
get you linked up with other people, right? That
No.
can.
I mean,
you
I
know.
was a policeman for 34 years. The enforcement thing I've got down pat, but I don't want to get to that point. I want to develop a system that it polices itself, and we don't have to do that. And I, to tell you the truth, I think with my experience in this, I think educating and teaching parents to police their kids is going to be the solution here. Because
very
we
well
cannot
is,
watch
probably
200.
is, right?
Think about this, you guys. Look how fast this has moved in 1 to 2 years. In 5 years from now, where are we going to be at? There's going to be so many of these. Some kids won't even know what a pedal bicycle is. This is going to get much bigger than it is now. And this is we have to have the mindset that this is fluid. It's always going to be changing. And we may have to change as technology changes. The speed of this is incredible. So we have to keep this in mind, that we're not going to put something in place and think that's great. This is going to be put in place, and it's going to be ever changing.
I think that's a great thing to institute within, what Brian was mentioning, that becomes part of the program, where it is, whether it's a yearly check-in, it's a something, but to be constantly monitored.
Right.
And I think to Jameson's point, like, let's not make perfection be the enemy of progress. That I think everybody is anxious to just get some things in place so that we don't have any tragedies or incidents happening on our island for those that are
Right.
either riding these things or, in the pathways. So,
agree.
I'm happy to lean in and work with you on this, Alan, just to
I
get
agree.
some progress made.
I will also give you a additional insight to our conversations with the Michigan League of Bicyclists. Their committee member is actually on the advisory board to the DNR. And the DNR is kind of screening everything for us because that's why it's taking so long. They're looking at legalities. They're looking at liabilities. They're looking at scale and size because, look at the state parks alone, how many we have. The state trails, they're doing it on a large scale. But we can learn a lot from that. And I hope to get that input hopefully before the holidays from them, actually. So we can inject a lot of their work into our plan, which helps us greatly. So I'm excited about that, and he's excited to pass that to us. So maybe he can attend one of our meetings and give us some insight to what they're doing in a little bit more detail. That may help us to develop our cornerstone for our plan. And so what I would like to do is just try to contact the township, contact the law enforcement, and have a meeting to just start.
Yeah.
And I will do that in the next day or two. I will contact them and try to come up with a date. And Nicole, I'll contact you, or you can give me your available dates.
Yeah.
Even if we do it online. But
Yeah.
then we can, start building the skyscraper we want to build.
And along the way, if there's something that you need or some sort of challenge, or say like, hey, life's got busy, I can't handle doing this for
Yeah.
this couple weeks or something, let us know so that way if there's ways that we can help you.
I understand. We've got a $1 million budget and 50-person, squad to help us on this, so we should be fine.
E-bike task
right?
force.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would just, what I'm saying is I just don't want this to get staffed into oblivion, right? Where
Yeah.
it's just, drags on for 3 years where
No.
we're,
I want
it's
to
just-
fast track this,
Yeah,
Jameson.
we got to get it moving.
Yeah.
Like, so,
And,
okay.
and honestly, that's where I was coming from when I asked, if people are interested, how do they get involved? Like, when is the meeting?
Right.
Like, how do people give you your input? So again, like, we're getting it sooner.
Yeah, so I
Right.
think maybe we can commit to the next meeting. We will share the plan, and we will share what the opportunity is for the community to get involved and provide input as part of that plan.
Absolutely.
Does that sound good, Alan? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just want to, I want to explore the full spectrum of input from the community. I mean, we're getting pieces of that spectrum, some mostly negative, but that's because they've been angered by an event on the path, and I understand that totally. But a lot of people don't feel that way. So I want to be fair across the board, and that's why I say they've got to give us their input. If they don't give us their input, you know, we can't consider their input.
Right.
So I really want their input.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big factor in our community, I think. As time goes on, it'll become bigger and bigger, and we need to stay ahead of the curve on this.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Wonderful conversation over here. Now let's hopefully we translate to results. So something that's a little bit smaller was the next discussion item, which is, you know, walk to school day. So that is scheduled for October 8th of 2025. There will also be, you know, and this is again like a national day, so that's why the dates are, I'm able to give those out. There will be potentially, you know, a bike to school day event May 6th of 2026. So typically we do participate in that, you know, along with Groseal Township schools as well as, you know, parent organizations. So I don't know if there's been any activity thus far, and if there isn't, you know, maybe we can start working on that.
Yeah, we're already registered. The schools are registered. The flyer is made, and I will send it. I'm sending it. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll send it tomorrow to Wendy, and then she gets it pushed through to the backpack flyers and approved by the superintendent. So it should be in the backpack flyers soon.
Awesome.
All set.
Is there anything that we also want to put, whether it's on the webpage or something like that, for those individuals that don't have children in schools, you know, just to give them notice when they're driving or when they're out, or if they want to, you know, support or
I
in
know.
any way?
Typically, we have had signs up that say that, you know, it's going to be happening to let people know. I know there's competing interest for those signs right now with the construction on Meridian and, you know, other places. So probably need to, you know, discuss that with the police department to see if they do have anything available or if anyone else does within the township.
You're talking about like the banners that are,
The they're not LED signs, but, you know, the
No, no, no,
electronic
yeah.
signs that are usually on, like on a trailer that could say, you know, like, hey, you know, there's going to be construction on Meridian on, you know, September 24th. You know, seek alternate route, or like whatever you want to customize it. And so, you know, typically we have something that says, hey, you know, it's going to be walk to school day, October 8th. You know, drive carefully
Yeah.
in the morning.
yeah.
Yeah, DPS could put that out for you. I just don't know if they're currently being employed due to all the construction or not.
What about even putting some of those flyers, printing them out and putting them like at the bakery, at CVS, at, you know, just at places in the community that people are going to? And then what about getting it on the, either the website or the Groseal, what is that?
Groseal Now?
Yeah, Groseal Now.
Definitely.
Who takes the action to do that?
I usually post it on
Do
the
you?
local Facebook pages.
Okay,
But
great.
beyond printing it out, I've never done that before. And at some point, I think before I joined, there were some signs, but I don't know where they are. I
Like
mean,
larger banner
They-
signs, that, like long signs?
I don't
kinda?
know, was it
Yeah, I'm not
Rebecca
sh-
maybe had them, she said? Or
Yeah, it
someone's
was like the yard
garage?
signs.
Yeah.
that
Yes,
you were
yes,
talking about.
but I've never seen them. But this was
Yeah.
before, so maybe that was around 2020 or so.
Yeah, I can ask both Rebecca and Jane, like if they have those still. Otherwise, like if it is something that, you know, we feel that's value, you know, we can create those again. And if not, you know, just, hey, we can think about that for the future if find value, but just can't do it. Other thing I was thinking about is, like, again, if you're able to create the flyer, we can give it to Brian Friel to be able to put on GITV. I know it's not, you know, a big impact, but, you know, every little bit helps. And yeah, if I have no problem putting it on Groseal Now. We do have our own Facebook page that, again, hasn't had much content as of late. If there's people that are interested in putting in the time on that, you know, we can use that. But I think like Groseal Now is probably more effective, getting more bang for the buck as
Yeah.
far as the time considered.
Yeah.
Cool.
So who's putting it on Groseal now? Okay, that would be great. And then the flyer you're giving to Wendy, and then the sign from, the electric sign from DPS, Brian, you're gonna look into the possibility of that?
Yeah, I will ask about it, as well as I'll, make sure that Jameson is CC'd on an email, so that way between the two of us, hopefully we can get some sort of answer.
Okay.
And then I'll also contact Jane and Rebecca just to see if they have the old yard signs.
Okay.
Don't forget about the monthly e-newsletter. You could put Bike to School in there as well.
That's a great point. Yeah, I had sent an email yesterday about the monthly newsletter, and it had a bunch of different topics that we could potentially include, and so I was asking for if anybody had the interest and the time to be able to put together some little blurb. And so, yeah, Walk to School Day would be a great one to put in if that's going to be published beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And if not, it would be good to put in afterwards, like, hey, usually we know like how many people participated.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the cycle is off the cuff.
I also mentioned the May 6th event too. I mean, it's early still, but
Is that Bike to School?
that'll be the spring one.
It's the
yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll just throw it in their phone and have it scheduled.
They really push it in the schools, I think, because the PTA gives awards. They have a raffle.
Oh,
The
that's
kids want to
right.
win that. So but they always have a really good turnout.
Didn't the police officers used to give like Slurpee coupons or something like that?
They
when
used
the
to pull
did
kids
that? That
over
was
and
fun.
give them
Yeah.
like a coupon.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
that was-
that happened to my son before, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
that was fun.
So another thing that we've done in the past, we got a grant through SEMCOG, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, and we're able to purchase light up bracelets to be able to pass out, as far as making sure that people, basically getting the message out that you need to be using lights at night in order to remain visible. Since then, obviously those are we ran out of those, but the company of SEMCOG still has like little packages that they give to local communities. And so again, like if we want to utilize any of their messaging or get some of their swag, we can put in for that. Since I work for SEMCOG, I prefer not to be that person. So if there's somebody else from here or like someone else from the township that would like to request that, that would be good.
I mean, I'm happy to request it if you can tell me how to do it.
Sure.
Tell me who to go to and who to, what to ask for, but.
Yeah, there's a link on a website, so that way you can do a request, so
Okay.
I can share that with you. And then again, like if we can make something more of this in the future, that would be great. Again, like I know that there's the police and fire, like public safety events. So like that might be an opportunity where, you again could get about education. And so just again, figuring out ways to partner with other agencies. And I know like the thought was at the time when we purchased, I think we had like a 500 or 1,000 bracelets, is, hey, the police could have them in the cars with them. And that way, if they saw someone at night, it's like, hey, you really should have a light, here's something in order, tie you over, but get to a bike shop or get to Meyer or wherever, to try and, get something more permanent. So again, hopefully, if you're talking about e-bikes, with the police, we might be able to talk about that as far as just safety campaigns in general.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would be happy to volunteer to go to, the elementary school or something that morning if we do get bracelets or something to pass out to the kids that come and do that.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Nicole, sometimes you can contact somebody at the school.
Yeah.
And a teacher will stand there because they know them.
Yeah.
And they'll give them the swag that they want to wear, and they wear it until it goes dead.
Yeah.
All right. Next item under discussion was about the wayfinding proposals. So, a while back, we did get, proposals back from our RFP. The thought was at the time that we would be getting a grant in order to pay for most of the costs of the wayfinding project. We did not get that grant, so we'll either have to pay for that through our regular funds or find another grant source. But in the meantime, community organizations did put together proposals It'd be great if we're able to comment on those and see like if there's certain ones that we liked, or like if there could be a action plan for the future in order to move ahead with that. So I guess the first thing to ask is how many people have had a chance to like fully read through the proposals or the summary, and if you need more time, be happy to like do it at the next meeting or sometime in between, but I really want to make sure that we take the time to look at those.
Yeah, I think this is, we're not voting on anything with this, so just discussing it. But looking through it, there's a few that I would say come off the board right away, right? Destination by Design, Corbin Design, and FD2S are all over $100,000. Valley Sign has fabrication and installation capabilities, but that's really all they have. Tangram is expensive, and then MERJE I really liked, except they have some exclusions, and they excluded some of the things we were interested in.
Yeah.
So just from what we discussed, what we wanted out of it, it looks like Wade Trim and Giffords and Webster are really the only affordable ones that are going to give us all the things we asked for, which included potentially like mobile apps, lighting, safety crossings.
And I know that there was also, thanks, to the township for giving us these summaries. They talked about the positives, the negatives, as well as the cost-cutting opportunities. So, even with some of these, like, Giffords Webster or Wade Trim, or if there was another one out there, and you can look at, hey, maybe we could cut part of it out, and it would make it cheaper and more affordable. Or maybe there were certain things that we could negotiate that we really do want to include in. But just for people at home, we did receive 8 proposals. One was from Giffords Webster, another was from Mannequin Smith Group, another is from Mary or Mergy, MERJE, and then Wade Trim, Tanagram, Corbin Design, Valley City Sign, Destination by Design, FD2S plus Mapwell Studio plus Kimberly Horn. Oh, and that's number 9, so I guess there was actually a little more. I thought there was 8. I think it was because we had 8 electronic submissions, and we had one that was, just a paper copy. So that's why I thought there was 8. Again, we can't take any action on those, but I definitely encourage people to read through those and be prepared to talk about them at a future meeting. Again, like I would, in the same scheme as Jameson is saying, I'd like to get towards action, so at least we know kind of what we like, and then if there's something we want to move forward with, we see how we can identify the funds in order to make it happen.
Is that something that we, like, do we have budget to do this, or we do not have budget to do this?
So
I know that we were planning on the grant. The grant didn't come through, so.
This is a proposal to tell us what they can do, right? What we need and what they can do. And then, someone like Wade Trim, we could ask to do more, right? We use them for several projects here in the township. So we've consumed, we had, a little over $400,000 at the beginning of the FY. We've consumed about $120,000 of that, about $280 left. So we could spend, $50 to $80,000 on this, and then still have a couple $100,000 to be able to execute signage. So,
Yeah.
So yes, we do have the budget. As to whether we want to spend the entire budget is another question.
Yeah.
I will say this though, like signage and trail repairs are like high profile things that shows the community BPAC's working for them and spending their money on things that are, sustainable and notable. So.
And depending on the timeline, there might be some other grants to look into to see if we can do that. But again, like I don't want to wait an entire year for another grant just to be able to pay for that. But this would help with open space and with gross yield nature and land conservancy. So we might be able to ask other agencies, hey, do you have anything that you might be able to contribute? Because like we didn't get that grant, and while we do have funding, there's shared benefit, hopefully there could be some shared costs in some way. So that way it's like we still have money, additional monies for maintenance of that, the paths.
Yeah, I mean, if we feel like this, so I guess what else would we be spending the money on that we have, if not this? If we identified this as a need, yes, ideally it would have been great if we would have gotten the grant, but I mean, can we decide whether or not we want to move forward on this or not move forward on this?
We can't vote on it tonight because it's a discussion item, but I mean, we can.
Can we propose to vote on it the next time? And is there any input that we would be asking the community to provide?
No, I mean, we could. We can always ask the community to provide input, right?
Yeah.
But in my philosophy, right, not everybody else agrees with this, that government shouldn't hold on to money,
I agree with that.
right? Because
Yes.
the people have paid for a service and we
Yes.
need to deliver that service. So in my opinion, I think if we have the capability to create an enduring asset to the community using the money that they've given us to spend on their behalf, that we should do so. But ultimately, it's up to this body, right? What we spend on what. So.
Yeah. I mean, would I be able to? So I'm new to this space.
So anyone can bring forward an action item. The chair has to accept it.
So I can bring forward the action item in the next meeting to vote on this a go, no go of this RFP and the award to one of these
Yes.
contractors.
Yep.
And I think it
Can I
might be
just do that, or do I
beneficial
have to?
No,
Do I have to word it in another
just
way?
tell me, like,
Yeah, just tell him he'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah.
you know,
Okay.
And
I
then
would
I
like
can
to do
help
that.
you
Yeah.
construct
Okay.
the proposals, the motions verbiage.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I would like to do
and
that.
it might be beneficial to have Ross here or like
I
to get
agree.
his take
Yeah.
on that.
But I think it's like we either should do it or we shouldn't do it. And then
Yeah.
let's,
And,
take action.
And just to
right?
be perspective, like what else could we spend the money on? Obviously, we can spend it on redoing the bike paths, like we are with like South Point and Grow Road.
Right.
We also need to have pay attention to the bridges that are part of the bike paths and like maintenance, according to that. And then there's other safety upgrades. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that there's trade-offs, and we have a finite amount of money, and our millage is coming to an end.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that we know everything that's coming and make the decision that we all feel comfortable with
Yeah. Well, we might not ever know everything that's coming.
as best as we can.
Yeah.
Great. So the last discussion item was about the paths. And so, Jameson, I don't know if you have an update on where we are with rehabilitation.
So the Elba Road construction has started, and should translate to our construction starting like shortly. I didn't get an exact date out of Derek, but it's this construction season and probably in late September, early October.
Late September, early October. Great. It might be good, look at their timeline and see about, again, if we have walk to school day, which most people are biking, like, hey, if it's like right around the corner, like if they're like, oh, it might be October 7th, it's like, well, hey, can you wait till like October 9th or something like that? So that way, the kids can use the paths in order to get to school. So
Okay.
that would be a good coordination topic.
So you were saying that is when it would start, Jameson, and then it would go for, do you know the?
I can't imagine it taking more than a couple, like two weeks, maybe 3.
Okay.
I think that would even be a long time.
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to talk about before making a motion for adjournment? Hearing none. Looking for, I'll call the question and ask for support.
Support.
All right. All in favor of closing the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Passes at 8:20 p.m. Everybody walk, bike, drive safe.